G'day, this is a quick video about Performance Copilot and the NICs that I've been adding to it. The agenda for the video is what's the motivation, what is NICs, I'll talk through some of the features of the NICs flake and the NICs configuration, and then I'll get into some demos. So Performance Copilot, PCP, has been around for a long time. It was born out of SGI back when what is now Google's headquarters was the SGI building. So it's quite a long time ago. It's had a lot of development over the years. It runs on a wide range of operating systems. It's got some really detailed metrics, much more detailed than like Prometheus Node Exporter, for example. And so I've been wanting to use it, and my first step was to realize I couldn't even run it on NICs because it hadn't been packaged. So I started trying to package it, and then I've built some tests to make sure that it all works. So what is NICs? NICs is a language. NICs is a package manager. It was primarily built for reliably and consistently compiling and building packages. So there's this thing called the NICs packages, which is a very large repo of packages that can be built using NICs. And then there's also an operating system, which is a completely deterministic operating system. So you write everything in NICs, you say build, and it'll build it identically forever. It's really awesome. You can install NICs on most operating systems, so Linuxes, Mac, newer Macs. Unfortunately, like the older Intel Macs are no longer supported. There's Docker images. Apparently you could run it on Windows if you were that way inclined. So if you've got, Red Hat, Fedora, Ubuntu, you can install it with a single command, and then you'll be able to run this same NICs flake that I'm going to demonstrate. Of course, you'd be better off to just use NICs OS. Now, the features of the flake and the NICs is I tried to make it very modular, so they're relatively small files each one. Hopefully they're well named, and so you can see here there's some microvm stuff, there's containers stuff, there's scripts for setting up the tap networking. There's a development shell. There's some testing scripts. There are the patches that get applied to the PCP, some of the files in the PCP repo to get it to build correctly for NICs. Some of those, when I originally created the NICs, there were some other patches that I had, so for like AR and a couple other things. We ended up fixing that in the main repo, and potentially there are candidates here that could be also pushed upstream, but I'm not sure about that yet. So it'll be interesting to see the feedback. And then there are the life cycle tests. So this is for each of the micro VMs or the containers. It steps through various phases where it like builds it loads it, it starts it then checks various aspects of how well it's running. So it checks that different PCP daemons are started, that sort of thing. Listening ports that Grafana starts, and so on. So it's a repeatable way to validate that PCP was built correctly, the VM can start, and all the configuration inside there is working, and all the daemons are running. So hopefully it'll be useful for automated testing. So for example, if you're going to make a large change or some change to the PCP library, you could rerun these tests, and if it works, there's pretty high likelihood what you've done didn't break anything. All right, so that's a discussion about the flake. The main test command is this one here. So nix run this target PCP test all. That'll test all the containers and all the micro VMs. I'll show you the demo of that. I mentioned the network scripts before. So this would need sudo to set up the tap networking, and then you can run this command, which will attach the micro VM, in this case the Grafana one, to the tap networking. And so if you run that command and then the next one, you could then, once the VM started, you'll be able to SSH into the micro VM, or you could browse with your web browser to the Grafana instance running on that micro VM, and you'll see all the dashboards. And if you've installed Nix on Ubuntu or whatever, then you might not have what's called this flakes feature enabled. So this would be the full command that you'd need to enable the flakes feature. All right, on with the demo. Right, this is a quick demo of some tests I've added to the PCP repo. So it's Nix tests. It'll build VMs with PCP inside it, and then it goes through and checks that everything starts correctly and is running correctly, and then it does a clean shutdown, and it does that on a number of different VMs. So there's different combinations. So there's like a basic implementation. There's an implementation that has the BPF counters. So it's got like some of the work queue latency stuff. There's versions that build Grafana into it, and it loads in all the right PCP dashboards, so you can actually see the metrics. There's a version that also includes the node exporter, so the Prometheus node exporter metrics. So that is a way for someone that might be used to node exporter to compare the node exporter metrics to what you get out of PCP. Obviously, you get a lot more out of PCP. Let me just start that while it's running, and I can keep talking. It also builds containers, so it'll build Docker containers and tests those. It builds a container for Kubernetes, right? So it's running it in a Minikube, and it sets up. You can see here it's doing a daemon set, so it's setting up PCP the way you'd want to run it in a Kubernetes cluster, and it's doing some validation. I did a few little fancy tricks here with the loading of the images. It uses the Nix hash to check if the right image is already loaded into the Docker container or into the Minikube container, just because it was very slow to load those container images. You can also see here that I'm skipping tap networking. So for performance reasons, there are scripts that are also as part of the Nix that would set up high performance networking based on tap, but you need sudo for that. And so this is just using the user space networking, so it doesn't need root. But you can, if you wanted to, you could set up the tap, and then you could run the tap-based tests as well. They work roughly the same way. And so here you can see it's checking all the things. Now it's doing the micro VM, so that's basically the kernel with stripped drivers. So it's got just the virt.io type of drivers. It takes a moment to start up. So there we go. We can see it connected via SSH. And the VM's coming up. It will check things inside there, so we can see it's testing all of the things. You can also see, look, it's got Prometheus node exporter running there as well. And then this next one is the one with Grafana in it. And I think the Grafana's got all the PCP dashboards. I think there's also a custom dashboard for the BPF, and it's got the Prometheus node exporter dashboard in it. So that way it can look at the node exporter metrics, which is kind of cute. It does the same tests. They're all basically the same test. Nix is generating most of that code, so they're all the same. Yeah, you can see here it checks for Grafana and Prometheus node exporter. Here's the micro VM that's got the BPF built into it. That took a long time to get working, but that's working, so that's pretty cute. Yeah, each of these phases has got a configurable timeout, and it captures how long each step takes. That's how the like up here we see this report gets printed at the end of each one, right? So that's still going. There we go. So all tests passed. We ran the base test, which is the simple version. The eval is the one that's got the Prometheus and node exporter metrics in it. So you can evaluate PCP versus node exporter. That's why it's called eval. And then the Grafana, and then the one with the BPF. So yeah, should be very repeatable. Okay, so let's also do a quick demo of the setting up the tap networking. So this should set up the networking. There we go. And now I need to start the VM. So where's my command? Here it is. Let's run that. Now that doesn't need sudo because the permissions got set up. See, you can see here for it detected my user. So this should start the VM. It's building it. If we're lucky, most of it's already built and in my Nix cache, my Nix store. So I think if we ping it, right up there. Yeah. All right, so it's up. There we go, and it's is it admin PCP? I think. Yep. Right. So dashboards. So you've got PCP and Prometheus. So you can see node exporters here. CPU is pretty high, huh? Interesting. So this is the. Oh well, the VM just started, so it doesn't really have any metrics yet. That will populate over time. And then much more interesting are these ones. So I think with these ones, they that's right. Looks like I'm still loading. I was trying to get the BCC working, but I couldn't get that working, and apparently it's been deprecated, so I abandoned that effort, but I forgot to delete the dashboard. Anyway, you can see here that this is now populating, so we've got the run queue latency getting populated, so whatever orange is winning. And then there are the other, oh look at that, I even loaded in the Microsoft SQL. I don't know why I did that. And I think with these, they don't seem to load straight away, and then if you sit on it for a while, then they start loading. So we can see here it's starting to populate. So yeah, that's kind of the demo of the VM that gets built with Nix, has all the things in it, and it's working, right? So it's kind of cute. I don't know if the PCP started filling in. Oh, sorry, the Prometheus. Looks like it hasn't. I'm not sure why that is. Anyway, all right, cool. There's also a Nix develop shell. So if you type Nix develop, it will create a new shell for you that has got a whole lot of tools in it for, you could do development in here for the PCP library. And you can see I've done some pretty ASCII art. Yeah, so here we go. We can do Nix build now, and it should, yeah, built. So it's in the cache. Yeah, so I forget all the things that are in here. If we look at right, it's got a couple. I thought I had more things in it than that. GDB, the ASCII art thing. It's got Valgrind. I had to add these commands here for some of the automated tests. So it's like, you know, kube control and Docker and stuff. Yeah.